Dragonfolk, a very interesting thing just occurred in the world of the Flesh and Blood lore, and I wanted to go ahead and get my, well, tinfoil cap on in regards to how the future of the lore of Flesh and Blood is going to be shaped, as well as talk about where we might be going in the next set. Welcome on in, Dragonfolk. It is such a pleasure to have you all here today. We are doing a lot of speculating. Speculating is going to be the big thing for today, so please, anything I might say, don't take it as fact. Please understand that what we're going to talk about in regards to the lore is all just a thought process and something that we are noticing as a small little change here. And more importantly, where we're going to be going in our next set is just a speculation as well. But I do have facts for you, and I would like to go ahead and share them first before we get into the meat and potatoes of our speculatory stuff. So back during the release of Heavy Hitters, there was an announcement for something called the Deathmatch Arena. And what that was is a sort of pseudo format where they took all of the fun of draft and also mixed it in with the fun of UPF, or Ultimate Pit Fight, the 4-player kind of almost, Smash Brothers style gameplay that they have for Flesh and Blood. And in doing so, what they did is they made a leaderboard, the Deathmatch Arena leaderboard. And for every single time a draft was played in the Heavy Hitters format during things like an RTN or a calling or any of those things, the winner of that draft, whatever hero that might be, so normally it started out with, several pods of 4 players like you would with Commander, and then you eventually got to the top 2 who duked it out one-on-one against one another to become the winner of the draft format. Now, this was really cool because what happened is the point system for that, the winner, let's say for instance Kasai, which obviously you can see we're going to talk about Kasai today. Kasai won several of these things and eventually got to the top, right? And if you win, you get a point on the Deathmatch Arena leaderboard. And after the Deathmatch Arena season had ended during, I believe, ProQuest 5, the season was over. You couldn't do anything with Heavy Hitters draft anymore as far as like gaining points for this. And then the winners of the Deathmatch Arena, more specifically, anybody who played the winner of the Deathmatch Arena, ended up getting a Command and Conquer that I can't find the article. I'm not sure if it was cold foil or rainbow foil, whatever it might be. But the point of the matter is that it is a Command and Conquer. And more importantly, what we're going to see is it's a very special version of Command and Conquer. We take a look at the leaderboard here. We have Reinar that got only 2 points during this UPF draft Deathmatch Arena stuff. Victor got 10, Olympia's at 10, Betsy's at 20, KO got 44, and then Kasai got 58 points. Now, anybody who won with Kasai, since Kasai was the winner of the Deathmatch Arena leaderboard, anybody who won gets one of these Command and Conquers. And more importantly, if you won multiple times on Kasai, then you're going to be getting multiple Command and Conquers, which is very, very cool. So we look over here at the Deathmatch Champion, and I'm not going to go over the entire article, but essentially check this out. That is a Command and Conquer in an extended art with Kasai on the art. So it's incredibly cool to see that this is a custom card specific for the winners of the Deathmatch Arena during the season. And this is the card that's going to be sent out to the 58 winners that play Kasai. Now, KO doesn't get one, Olympia doesn't get one, none of them get one. Only Kasai players who won with Kasai are going to be getting one of these Command and Conquers. And again, we don't know if it's rainbow foil or if it is cold foil. There was rumor it's cold foil. The odds are it's probably rainbow foil, but that's entirely up to this. The point of the matter is that there's only 58 of them in existence, which is pretty cool, actually. So 58 of them available is pretty sweet. But I gotta say, it is even cooler what happened after this announcement. So this happened during Collector's Week, and we learned a lot about this and, you know, the winner itself. And there was a rumor, a big rumor, that what if the lore of the Deathmatch Arena was to be shifted based on the winner of the Deathmatch Arena. So, you know, the story moves forward knowing who the winner was. And we actually see a lot of that happen in a brand new article that was just released today as a story from the LSS creatives about Kasai. This entire story, which I'll leave in the comments down below, or the comments, the description below. Bloodied Sands is a side story that was just released today. As I'm recording this video, it was just released. And it goes and tells about Kasai's battle against KO, who was the number 2 in the spot, to win the Deathmatch Arena and win the tournament altogether. And with that being the case, we then see everything move forward here. We see her fights against all these other heroes, the other heroes that battled into these heroes themselves, and eventually the final battle against Kasai and KO. Kasai defeats KO, doesn't kill him, mind you, so obviously we're not going to see KO probably for a while, but nobody died in the Deathmatch Arena, you know, that we're aware of, so that's at least good. But what we see is that now that Kasai has won the Deathmatch Arena and gotten all this gold and everything like that, she has raised an army of the Centauri to then go and defeat the general who kidnapped her father, or at least imprisoned her father more specifically. And that is where we get this art right here. This is a new card that was just announced at, I believe, Calling Manila. This is an expansion slot card for Warriors that is coming out in Rosetta, and it's got Kasai art on it. I'll let you go figure out the spoiler for yourself, but the card's very, very good. Very cool card. It's called Unsheathed, if you can't find it on Fabrary. But this here goes to show her fighting into the desert on her way to none other than, based on this this specific article here in regards to her story, fighting her way through the sands in between the Deathmatch Arena and Volcor to come back and get her father and kill the general that had caused all of this harm and distress to her and her family. And that is incredibly interesting, because what I wanted to know is, would this have happened? Would we have gotten this article and this lore background for Kasai if she didn't win? Right? If she didn't win the Deathmatch Arena, would it have been a, oh, well, KO got his money and Kasai is going to just take whatever winning she got for second place and then move on to go back to Volcor? Or was there a switch in design element? I can only imagine that, thinking this far ahead, you know, because normally you're thinking at least 1.5 to 2 years ahead of the game plan when you are looking at designing a card game, especially lore from a card game perspective, that if Kasai lost and KO ended up winning, we could have seen us go to the Savage Lands or something, right? KO breaks his chains and runs out of the Deathmatch Arena and is able to escape, and we follow him to the Savage Lands. But here we see Kasai winning and Kasai going to go to Volcor to go and rescue her father. And with this article coming out about a month before Rosetta releases, we find out right around maybe a month, maybe like a few weeks after a full release of a new set, the next set being Rosetta, where we're going in our next set. And I am a firm believer that, based on this article and all the information that I've been hearing from James White and everybody who's talked about Draconic Illusionists coming back, don't worry, Draconic Illusionist is coming back. This isn't the last you'll see of Dromai. I think that we are going to Volcor in the next set after Rosetta. And that's just a hope, because obviously, as you can tell by my draconic border around my webcam, I like draconic heroes. I think the idea behind the Volkai and the Drakai and all that stuff are really, really cool. And it is probably my favorite aesthetic, right up there with Mistveil. So that is huge in regards to this, because if we're going to get an entire arc where Kasai is now storming the gates of the Empire of Volcor, then we're going to see new draconic heroes probably take up the mantle, maybe even join in with Kasai against the Empire. Did Dromai end up taking the Emperor's place and become the Empress of the Drakai? Who knows, right? There's a whole bunch of lore implements there, but I'm very, very excited to see where this goes. And honestly, if player-driven storyline is something that happens more often, I am for it, because we already see heroes hit living legend status and becoming incredibly powerful in where they are. And I could see some of these heroes even rising to a higher echelon of power within the lore when they hit a living legend status. Now, obviously, heroes are recycled. And so, for instance, Prism, the Sculptor of Arclight, is still the same Prism as Prism Awakener of Soul from a lore perspective, but just further along in the future. And then also, she's got new toys to work with, right? But the fact that lore can change strictly based on the events of a small sub-tournament that's happening within the world of Flesh and Blood, as we, the players, dictate the winner of this event, it was so much more than just the command and conquer. This was so much more than just a cool, I get a command and conquer at the end of this. You get to drive the story of Flesh and Blood. At least that's my estimation, and I'm going to stick with it. And if this ends up being something that LSS works on, and this is something they end up doing to help drive the story to a different place, then more power to them, because I think that's super, super cool. And I personally believe that that's something that's going to get a lot of people into the game itself who are more casual oriented, who might want to get into something more competitive, even if it's just from a draft or a sealed perspective, because being able to dictate the world of the game that you are playing is such an insane power trip that people will flock to be a part of something like that. So LSS, if that truly is what's going on there, thank you, right? It's going to be super cool to see what you guys come up with later on in the future. I'm always excited to check out the lore when it drops and see all these other cool things. And it's just nice to be interactive with the community. And I think something like the Deathmatch Arena, while a lot of people do say that it was not advertised as well as it should have been, it was advertised. And if people were not, if new people weren't aware of it, then, obviously there's a fix for that. And that's just making sure to advertise it like once a week or something. But this was a really, really cool thing to see. And those 58 Command and Conquers are going to go for thousands upon thousands of dollars. I don't even care if they're non-foil. They're going to go for thousands upon thousands of dollars. So congratulations to the winners. Hopefully you decide to keep that as a trophy and not like a ticket to sell for, thousands of dollars. But I'm just cool. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see this kind of stuff happen in a card game. And I'm always very, very thankful to be a part of a community that helps support something like this, because, man, we just need something cool, right? We need something interactive to be a part of. And as a casual player, I'd say casual competitive player, this is something that's definitely going to help me continue to have my love for Flesh and Blood and continue to tell other people about it, because it's just more opportunity for me to love the game and to see it grow and flourish to its full-fledged, card game life. But thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate your support. This was a lot of speculation. Like I said, I didn't want to go super deep into things, but I did want to just talk about the lore and the the overall concepts of it, please go check out those lore articles if you have not already, and make sure to let me know what you guys think, right? Should they do the Deathmatch Arena again? Should they do that somewhere else? Should maybe a format be specifically made for these Deathmatch Arena concepts, and it can make like a, you know, super hyper competitive UPF kind of style thing? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to chat with you all. You can also go ahead and hit the like button down below and help share this amongst the algorithm. You can also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We are getting pretty close to 2,000 subscribers. I think we're about 60 away. So if you guys are looking to subscribe to the channel, it is certainly appreciative that you do that. But if you want to support even further, you can become a channel member. We do have channel members here, several different tiers, not just this gold tier here. And you can go ahead and join there for whatever amount that you wish, you know, out of those 3 tiers. And then you get access to our podcast, The Common Language, earlier than everyone else does. You also get access to emotes and loyalty badges and member-only videos and stuff like that. So please make sure that if you are looking to support the channel, you can go ahead and do that. But it's not necessary. You can just go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button, and that's good enough for me. So thank you all so much. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you continue having fun in the flesh and blood. And I will see you all in our next one.